So welcome back to episode 66. So in last week's video you saw me testing out the fuel system, making sure that it's pumping, it's not leaking, and that I can get fuel come out of an injector with quite a reasonable spray. And we got the spider on. That was great. So in this week's video what I want to do is finish off the fueling system, so get those injectors screwed in. Then I've got a couple of boxes around the garage that I want to just open up. I've not looked at them for about a year. I want to see what's inside there, work out what I need to do next. There's a lot of gubbins to go on top of the engine. I've got no idea what it is or where it goes, so I need to work that out. And I'm slowly ticking through the jobs to get in the engine all connecting up and firing, and at least turning over. We'll talk about firing later. So anyway, as ever, thank you for watching. Please click the subscribe button, help me grow the channel. Click the like, leave me some comments. If you know anything about where things go at the top here, just leave me some comments. I think later I'll probably show you some of the bits and we can try and work it out. But let's just dive in the video and see how I get on this week. Right, today's task, which I'm hoping is going to be nice and easy, is to assemble and fit these injectors into the engine. As you saw, we got the runners in last week. This week, get these in, get these connected up, and then that is the absolute entire fueling system sorted. Maybe less the warm-up regulations, some other bits, but we're getting closer. Right, today I'm going to do what I hope is going to be the nice easy job of fitting the injectors. So there's one there that I've assembled already. Actually, I'll leave that side on. The injectors here, there's a little rubber grommet, and then there's this, whatever it's made of aluminium probably, sleeve. Right now, assembling these injectors, they're pretty straightforward. All we need to do is get some bits out. Let's take my gloves off so I'm a bit cleaner. Right, there's an injector. So, pull the end off. Now I'm going to just lick it a little bit, which may not be that hygienic, but it just helps the injector slide down the rubber seal. Slide it all the way home. Pop our little end cap on again. I'll just make sure that's snug up against the hex fitting. And this should just slide over. There. Right. So that's 2 done. There's my test one that I did a second ago. 2. Right, now it should just be a case of simply screwing the injector assembly down inside the runner there. I just put it in with my fingers, like that. That should neatly screw in. I just get it almost there with my fingers. And then finishing off with a spanner. It's a 12mm spanner. Feel it. It feels like it's compressing up the rubber now. It's gone a little bit sort of squidgy. I'm not going to take it particularly tight. There we go, to about there. So I mean, it's certainly not tight, but it's really compressed that rubber in. And then our injector just screws on top. Now this is the bit I'm curious if this is going to line up perfectly, because that's slightly bent. I may have to sort of play around with a little just to get it aligned correctly. There we go. It's a little bit of force to get it straight onto it. Okay, so there's one injector. I've obviously not tightened this piece up, but one injector. I'm going to whip through and insert all of the injectors now. Right, this morning what I want to do is have a look at one of the last remaining boxes that I've got. I'll get the box out so you can see it. It's that little beauty. So lots and lots of pipe work. It's all the bits and gubbins that go around the top of the engine and around around the sort of side of the engine bay, I guess. So I'm just going to unload it on the desk and we can see what we've got and then work out what I need to repair, what I need to clean up, what I need to replace, and all of that. So I'll pop it back and then let's get some bits out. These went away, you know, a year ago, I suppose, over a year ago. I literally have no idea what most of these are. Those are some very oily pipes. Feel free to shout, leave comments if you know what they are. I need to work out where they go. Condition wise, of course it's rusty, but actually looks okay. So, one item. One more for the road. How about that boy? Let's move this along so you can see. That, I'm going to guess, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I bet that's the top of the power steering pump. So that's the reservoir for a power steering pump, I reckon. Which we could have a go at putting all of that back on the car. Again, this is it's dirty, but it's not rusty, and the pipe is not cracked at all. I think this is a function of the car being quite oily. It's kept everything lubricated and good. Wow, super clean inside there. Right, I think you know me well enough now that I don't like to sit around too long, and the next job I want to look at is the starter motor. So this is how it came off the car. It's pretty grubby. It's presumably the original one. What I want to do is take it away from the housing, I think. I'm going to see if this is loose. If it isn't, I probably won't persist. But my theory is take it away from the housing, get that cleaned up nice, test this, clean this up, and then put it all back together and back on the car. There we go. Right, so that can be, I'll take that outside and clean it up nice, or nicer, so that looks good. And then we're just down to this motor, which actually doesn't look that bad. It's obviously a little bit grubby, but it's not horrendous. I'm going to look up quickly how I test this, because I don't want to just put power in it straight away and upset it. Like it's there. I'll just double check what I do with that. Okay, with a bit of playing around, I've finally got the starter motor to engage. So, what I have then is, just untangle myself, ground on the case of the starter motor, positive to the nice big terminal. I'm going to supply power to the big post there, and then just tap that on there. I don't know if you can tell from that angle, if I just rotate it, you'll be able to see the, make sure you're in camera view, you can see the actual starter cog come out. So that appears to work really nice. Let me just detach this, I don't like having a battery connected up with wires. That seems to work really well. Now the confusion on my starter is I've actually got four connectors. I've got two posts and then two spade connectors. I'm connecting into this one, which I tried before, but I couldn't get anything to happen. But well, actually, look, the battery didn't have enough charge. This side I'm not charging at all. There's no power going into that. Obviously, it does something, but I need to wait. I've posted on Renlist, so perhaps we'll find out later what each one of them is actually labelled as, what they should be doing. But the starter works. So what I'll do now is I'll tidy this up and we'll get that put back in the case, you know, on that mounting and back on the car. I know what you're thinking. Where is that crappy old starter motor? Well, here she is, all cleaned up. I'm not kidding myself. I know all I've done is clean it up and spray it. It's still the same mechanics, but it tested fine. And I don't see any harm in, obviously I've tidied it up so that it's not going to rust to death, and actually looks a bit better. But I don't see any harm in putting that back in the car until it fails. And you know, at some point the solenoid will probably start playing up or whatever happens, but then we can worry about that. So for the moment, that's tidied up. It's looking pretty sweet. I've cleaned this up as well. Again, just wire brushed it over. So we can pop the starter motor back in. What I do need to do is work out what orientation it goes. I think it's that way, but I'll go and check that. But while I'm on camera, I might as well just wind the bolts in. I'll tell you what, it's a good job I do record all of this, because that is around the wrong way. Let's spin that around. I quite often go back through the footage I record, checking how things go back together, especially in the early day where I was taking all the top of the engine apart, all the pipe work and things. That's going to be invaluable, although it's, as ever, not as detailed as I would like. Sort of going back now, I wish I'd taken a lot more film, but it's better than nothing. I'm sure I'm going to be asking a lot of questions on Renlist shortly, which pipe goes where kind of questions. Right, let's get this loosely assembled. Great, so there's another thing ready to go back on the car. It's been a pretty broken week this week, sort of a lot of little jobs going on, jumping between things, cleaning up these wires and stuff. But one of the items I picked up was the power steering pump reservoir. Got to get the name right. So that was one of the grubbiest items I've seen on the car. I've gone over it with gunk, clearing off all the oil. I could paint the whole thing up, but I want to kind of preserve it because it's got some of the labels on which I quite like. So I've renewed the clips, the pipe works fine. So I'm going to fit that back on in the engine bay. That's actually probably the first thing to go back in, isn't it, after the engine? Get that in, get it connected back up, one more job ticked off. So the reservoir goes about here. Let's feed it around the pipework. I can get those bolts to go through, which I think they are now. That's where the magic's going to happen. I need to hold them in place while getting a nut on the other side. Let's see if we can do that. I'm tempting to put slightly larger bolts, so it should be okay actually. Okay, and conveniently the other end of the power steering pipe is right there, so it just needs to plug on. If I can get it on, I should have done that before. I've got a new clamp for it. I'm using these FI clamps actually. It's a little bit big, that one, so it's goes smaller. Right, I think that's enough this week. I'm not going to try and squeeze any more in. Not bad progress. Again, the injectors are all in there. We've got that power steering pump reservoir connected up, tidied up and connected up. The starter motor is just drying, but that'll be going in probably, maybe next week. I'll look at doing the flex plate and everything, get that starter motor on and connected up. And then we can talk about threading the wiring harness through the engine. Maybe I should have done that earlier, don't know, we'll work that out later. And a lot of these pipes. Most of these pipes seem good, apart from some of the ones on this thing. Feel free to tell me where this connects up. I know it goes on the top, and I know where most of them go, but some of them are a little bit mysterious, like this end bit, this bit. So feel free to leave me a comment about that. But as ever, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.